Okay, I know I'm a little late to the party, but the Flyers 25-26 season is officially underway. And honestly, they've surprised me. Let's talk about what's working, what's almost working, and who might be skating on thin ice. The Flyers are officially 6 games into the season, and dare I say, I'm impressed. They're not perfect, not pretty, but gritty, organized, and finally showing signs of a power play that doesn't make me want to cry. The Flyers started out with a pretty brutal schedule, facing some of the NHL's top opponents, with their first game of the season being against the defending Stanley Cup champions, the Florida Panthers, no less. One of the biggest questions leading up to the start of the season was which of the goalies would get the nod to be the starting goalie for the season. And while the true number one has yet to be determined, Dan Bladar has earned himself the starting goalie position for opening night after an impressive camp and preseason. While the Flyers were unable to come out with a win on their first game of the season, we definitely got a good glimpse of Bladar's playmaking abilities and really using his body and size to protect the net, and great ability to track the puck and quickly get himself in position to stop the puck. As for the team as a whole, we saw a great defensive effort, but not a whole lot of offense to show for opening night. Their next game against the Carolina Hurricanes saw a much better offensive performance, which surprisingly started with a power play goal. The Flyers scored a power play goal. You heard that right. The game, I thought, was pretty evenly matched, with goals back and forth between the two teams and the Flyers scoring late in the third period to force an overtime. Well, that overtime turned into very classic Flyers hockey really quick. For about 10 seconds, Bobby Brink had scored the winning goal, the team was on the ice celebrating, and some players even made their way to the locker room. I was at a bar watching the game and I high-fived the bartender, and we all thought we came out with a win, only for the NHL office in Toronto to be like, oh no, it's the Flyers. We can't have them win like that. So they called the goal back on a terrible supposed goalie interference by Travis Sanheim, when it was actually the Hurricanes goaltender, Fred Anderson, that positioned himself out of position to defend the puck and to push Sanheim out of the way, pushing for that goalie interference goal. And in classic Flyers fashion, after that non-goal call, the Hurricanes scored like 10 seconds later, and theirs actually counted, so they won the game. And if you've been watching the Flyers for a while, you know that is such a typical Flyers way to lose. The Flyers' next 4 games were a 4-game homestand at their newly revamped and renamed Xfinity Mobile Arena, and here are my observations from that 4-game homestand. So the overall team identity, Tocchet's system looks like Tortorella's discipline, but with better puck movement. Standouts throughout the first 6 games, Owen Tippett. He is actually hitting inside the net. He has early season energy. He's shooting with confidence, and everything is going in for him right now, and we love to see it. The next thing I've observed is Trigger Seagrass and Cam York appear to be the missing power play pieces we've needed all along. Seagrass has amazing puck handling ability and has made some wild passes between opposing players to contribute to power play goals, and he has earned himself a point in each of the last 5 games. And as for Cam York, we never really got a true chance to see him in the power play in previous years. And now he's getting to be like the quarterback of the power play, meaning he's the player that at one point directs the flow of the game and makes the key decisions to set up the offense. And I like what I've seen from him there so far. And I think it's really helping him build his confidence. The other observation, or perhaps the biggest surprise for me, has been more surprising than the power play, has been the goaltending between Dan Bladar and Samuel Ersson. There was a huge panic in the offseason from not being able to acquire a legitimate goaltender, and Carter Hart, of course, choosing to get a fresh start elsewhere. But we were able to get the Calgary Flames backup goaltender in Dan Bladar. And dare I say, he might actually be the goalie we didn't know we needed. He's finally getting a true chance to showcase his skills and fight for a starting goalie position. And so far, he's definitely inching towards that role. The Flyers came out with a win in 3 of the 4 games in this homestand, and we are currently sitting in a strong position with the overall record of 3-2-1 over their first 6 games. Still, we can't crown them yet. Consistency is the key word. You can see moments where old habits creep in, lazy clears, chasing the puck, Michkov looking lost in the defensive zone, but this feels more like growing pains than doom. So yeah, it's not the 1975 Glory Days hockey, but this version of the Flyers, it's feisty, it's chaotic, it's hopeful. But we've seen the gloves drop several times already, and the likes of Nick Delorier and then Nikita Gravenkin and Travis Konechny both in the last game. And for October, that's already more than we've had in previous years. But let's zoom out because the rest of the league is serving chaos too. So around the league, chaos is thriving. We've got fights, we've got hat tricks, and the NHL's latest PR fumble. So let's break down what's actually worth your time. Let's start with everyone's favorite villain, Brad Marchand. Now a Panther, formerly a Bruins icon, and yep, still steering headlines in Florida. After a low blow cross check from Rasmus Dahlin led to a full-on meltdown, helmet in hand, straight to the box, the league hit Marchand with a $5,000 fine and reignited the chaos machine. Panthers fans hope he still got one of those vintage Marchand seasons left, and the Bruins fans, not so sure. Either way, the drama is served. Meanwhile, in New Jersey, or Flyers enemy territory, Jack Hughes is making it look easy. His third career hat trick, and a reminder that he might actually be one of the most watchable players in hockey right now. Every shift is a highlight reel material, and it feels like he's just getting started. The Avalanche are doing that thing again where they look terrifyingly well balanced. 2 early week wins looked dominant, with both McKinnon and Ikushkin lighting things up, until that 4-3 overtime loss to Utah reminded us that even the best aren't immune. It's not flashy, it's not loud, just efficient, scary hockey. And off the ice, the NHL fumbled the bag this week. The league abruptly canceled its pre-Olympic send-off event, which was supposed to hype the return of the NHL players to the Winter Games. No clear reason, just quiet delete from the calendar and a loud eye roll from all the fans and the media who were actually excited to see some global hockey unity for once. Classic NHL, finding new ways to trip over its own skates. So yeah, chaos, fines, hat tricks, and a quietly terrifying Avs team. Let's cool it down with a little something educational because it's time for this week's hockey term. La palabra de esta semana es power play. O en español, la ventaja numérica. That's when one team has more players on the ice because the other team got a penalty, like they tripped someone, slashed someone, or just decided to make poor life choices. En otras palabras, un power play es cuando tu equipo tiene una ventaja de jugadores 5 contra 4, o incluso 5 contra 3 si el otro equipo está realmente teniendo un mal día. The idea is simple. More players, more chances to score. At least on a typical power play. Pero claro, si eres los Flyers, esa ventaja a veces no significa nada. We've spent years trying to figure out how to make a power play actually work. Pero bueno, este año parece que algo está cambiando. Porque sí, señoras y señores, por fin estamos viendo goles en el power play. So yeah, power play, la ventaja numérica. It's that rare moment in hockey when your team is supposed to look dangerous. And if you're a Flyers fan, you just hope they remember that. Querido Diario, mood apático. Mi vida gira en espiral, como el power play de los Flyers. Hoy revisé Instagram otra vez. Los niños fanáticos siguen escribiendo manifiestos desde sus dormitorios cubiertos de pósters. Free Michkov, gritan, como si Tocchet lo estuviera encadenado en el Xfinity. Pero es el futuro de la frecuencia. Déjenlo jugar. Sí, claro, el futuro. Si logra dejar de patinar como si cargara el trauma de Filadelfia en la espalda. Pero los entiendo. Todos queremos un milagro. Solo que los milagros también necesitan piernas fuertes y algo de cardio. Así que aquí estoy, rezando fuerte a mi santuario de naranja y negro, pidiendo al universo un shift limpio, una asistencia, una señal de que el caos todavía puede ser hermoso. El abismo me susurra, paciencia, pequeña Flyer. Y yo le respondo, solo si el power play sobrevive la semana. Next week, we'll see if the Flyers can keep proving that this start isn't a fluke, and maybe, just maybe, Michkov gets a few more minutes of mercy. Thanks so much for watching Through the Glass, and if you're enjoying this content, please be sure to like, follow, and subscribe. It really helps the channel grow, and I really appreciate it. You can find me on Instagram and YouTube at Through the Glass PC for reels, updates, and behind-the-scenes chaos. Hasta la próxima. Stay spooky, Flyers fans. Bye.